This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of Vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
If you see them inside, it's probably too late. Termites, that is. Notorious timber-toothed Ted and his swarm of outlaws are always on the trail to the next meal, which might just be your house. But these homewreckers are no match for Terminex, with quick-draw expertise and specialized training guaranteed to protect your home. That's been the truth around here for 75 years, and it ain't gonna change. Visit TrustTerminex.com to keep these pesky outlaws dead or outside.
Hey there, Duke fans. Welcome to episode 505 of the Duke Basketball Report podcast. I'm Jason Evans, and I have to say, we have gotten emails from people over the past several days since Duke unfortunately lost to end their season. We've gotten plenty of emails from listeners who are like, hey, you guys should do this topic or that topic. And there are a lot of interesting suggestions, but there's one suggestion, one topic that we've gotten way more emails about than anything else. That is people who want us to guess, speculate, and perhaps look into a crystal ball and figure out what is happening with next year's Duke roster. Here at the DBR and among Duke fans, wait till next year. It lives absolutely in our minds and in our hearts. The moment the season is over, we are looking ahead to what the bright future is for the Blue Devils. And specifically in the one and done era for the past decade and a half at Duke, the question is, which of these guys are going to turn pro and which guys are going to stay? So we are about to bring it to you. Get ready. It's about to happen. Again, I'm Jason. I'm joined by Sam and Donald, neither of whom are where you would normally expect to find them. Sam, where are you?
Still in the mountains in Colorado, still on my ski trip. I'm changing trip mates today. My brother was here with me. He's leaving. I have a few friends coming up who are going to be with me for the weekend. So other than that, I'm still in the same place that I was most recently, but
not in Boston.
I am not home.
How's the powder been, by the way?
Oh my God. It's been so good this week. I actually, so today's the 4th day we've been here. I actually did make it out to the mountain this morning, and then I quit after a few minutes because I've been skiing really hard for the last 3 days. And my twice surgically repaired knee doesn't really like to ski 4 days in a row. So I got on the mountain. I was on like my first run, and I was like, my legs are not capable of this today. So I quit and went back home. And so I have plenty of time to record with you all today.
I love
self-awareness.
Yes.
A thing which I often lack self-awareness. But today, for one day, my body made me aware of how I feel.
Very nice. Donald Wine is with us. Donald, what exotic Caribbean locale are you in?
So I think the last time I talked to you guys, I was in St. Vincent.
Yes, you and Sam had a discussion about whether St. Vincent is a harbor for financial criminals, I believe.
Yes.
they're not criminals if it's not illegal.
There's no finances there. I am now in Grenada. I was supposed to be in Grenada yesterday, but the airline that I was flying, Inter-Caribbean, decided they weren't going to fly yesterday. So I had to stay another night in paradise to fly to another paradise. But I am now here in Grenada. It's a great, great country, and it's been beautiful so far.
And because the listeners can't see it, because we haven't pivoted to YouTube yet, thank God. Donald's rocking a jersey today, so he's got his shoulders out, and Is it what is this U.S. soccer jersey?
It's a USA tank top that I got for like $15. It has USA in the back. I'm not going to show you guys my back. That's just not how we're going to do. But it's one of those things where they made them for the Olympics, and this was back in I think 2016, and I got this for $15, and I was like, "Yo, this is something I can wear in the tropics." Anywhere I go, and sure enough, I'm correct.
Is it? I do have my video calibrated. Is the jersey pink or is it red?
No, it's red. It's red. It's definitely red.
Okay.
It has, for those of you reading, it has some sublimated stars on it. It has a big Nike swoosh on the front.
It's a big swoosh.
On the back, it's blue and it says USA on it.
Nice. Yeah, my I'm partially colorblind, so I have my computer screen calibrated to make it easier for me to read. So reds look like pinks to me.
Reds look like that makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
All right, guys, enough about what we're wearing. Enough about
done?
where we are.
All right. Well, that's been episode whatever of the Duke Basketball Report podcast.
Good to see you guys.
No, we've got other important stuff to discuss here. And I just want to lay out for everyone exactly how we're going to be doing this. So we're going to be discussing every player on the current Duke roster who could return for next year. And we are going to essentially predict, all three of us, will they stay? Will they go pro? Or will they take the transfer portal and leave? And here's the other important thing you need to know from a logistical standpoint. There are going to be two of these episodes. So if you're listening to this one and you haven't listened to the next one will be coming along in a matter of hours probably. Or if you're listening to the next one and you're not listening to this one, then I don't even know what I'm saying to you. But when you listen to the next one, you'll hear me reference this one.
What Jason means is this is a 2-part episode. We're going to give you 2 episodes of the funk. We're going to tell you every single player on this team, what they're going to do. And if you want to learn what every single player wants to do, you need to listen to both episodes.
And can I add one comment before we get into the actual details of this? In the past, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, it feels like we've gone from discussing whether or not the guy is going to leave for the NBA as being a completely taboo subject that nobody wants to talk to now everyone just being much more free and transactional about the thing. So-and-so, it might make the most sense for him to transfer. Not that I don't like him or that I don't think that he could eventually develop here, but that this might be the best thing for him. And I am very glad that we have reached this place.
Sam, I think this is the first time we've actually done one of these speculation episodes. We usually just wait for the players to decide what they're going to do. Go pro, stay, or transfer. And then we discuss it when it happens. But this is the first time we've actually gone on and said, yo, we're going to just going to decide for ourselves what they want to do, what they may want to do, what we want them to do. It's a speculation episode. This is the first time we've really tapped into this market.
And the last thing I want to say before we dive into this is, and I want to be very clear, yes, we have gotten some emails from people who claim to know things. And I don't know about you guys, but I've spoken to some people, not email, but physically spoken to some people in Durham who claim to know things. I don't want to go so far as to say, oh, this is sources close to the team or anything like that. We don't have speculating. We are absolutely speculating.
I would say we are speculating and also making, I'd say, educated guesses that are not necessarily informed by real sources.
Right, that is correct. But don't take it as gospel. If all three of us say something, that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen.
No, that's the whole point.
We reserve the right to be wrong, and we also reserve the right to be absolutely right. We reserve all of that. If we're wrong, we're right. Email us, DBR Podcast at gmail.com.
If we didn't have bad opinions, would we even be men?
Yeah.
That's true.
Not going to get into a discussion of that. We're not.
I'm done. I quit.
Enough of this. We got to dive in. We got to get started on this.
Let's go.
And we're beginning with the guards and wings. That's the way we're dividing this up. We'll be doing 5 guards/wings, and then we'll have another episode. We'll be doing 5 big men. And for the sake of balancing things out, Dariq Whitehead goes with the guards and wings. Mark Mitchell goes with the big men. You can make an argument that Mark Mitchell is more of a wing or that Dariq Whitehead is more of a whatever. This is just how we did it. One of them shot more threes than the other one, so that guy gets to go with the guards and wings.
Which one is Spencer Hubbard going? He's with the guards, right? Like,
yeah,
just make it easy. Just make it easy.
Yeah, look, by the way, I don't want to slight Spencer Hubbard or Stanley Borden, but we're not going to be discussing them on this podcast. The presumption, I think, is that walk-ons likely return to Duke, regardless of the fact that they are walk-ons and don't get very much time. And that's traditionally what's happened. And the occasion recently where Keenan Worthington and Coach K's grandson left the team and transferred someplace, it really doesn't affect the team tremendously in terms of what we see on the floor. All right.
I was going to make a Nepo baby joke, but we skated right through it. So
there we go. All right. So let's get to it. And we're going to begin with probably the biggest decision that Duke fans are waiting for among the guards and wings, Tyrese Proctor. And I want to be clear. Here's how we're doing this, because I'm in complete charge. I'm in complete control at the moment. No, I'm not. In any event, I'm going to ask each of you to give me two things, and then we'll have a discussion. Those two things are, what will he do? What should he do? Just give me those, like a sentence or so on each one, and then we will have a longer discussion. Donald, I will start with you. Your candidate is Tyrese Proctor. What will he do? What should he do?
Okay, I'll start with what should he do. He should stay.
Donald, I just told you, give it to me. I'm kidding.
Following instructions is famously something that lawyers do poorly.
I was going to follow him. I just didn't do it in order. This KFC, chicken
doesn't abide by parallel structure.
Yeah. So what should he do? He should stay. What will he do? I think he does stay. I think he's going to stay, and I think he's going to kind of realize that, if you think about it, he should be a senior in high school right now, right? He should be graduating with a senior high school class right now. I think he realizes that. And I think even despite the good year that he did have, I think he has the potential to have a year where he can be one of the best players, one of the best point guards in the nation. And I think he takes advantage of that.
Okay. Again, not the long discussion. We're just going to do the what will he do? What should he do? Sam, Tyrese Proctor, what will he do? What should he do? Donald has voted he will stay and he should stay.
I concur with Donald that Tyrese Proctor's best move would be, why didn't I just concur? I concur that Tyrese Proctor should stay at Duke next season and that he will stay at Duke next season. The one reason I think that he would choose to leave, and I'm going to do the very quick commentary, and then you can come back and ask me again. The one reason that he could choose to leave is that if Roach stays and Duke has two combo guards coming in, there won't be as many touches next year. And between Proctor and Roach, I think the honest thing is that Proctor is a better NBA prospect long-term than Jeremy Roach is. And Proctor does not want to hold himself back from showing off for NBA teams, being on a team where he may get fewer touches. That being said, I believe that next season he'll be the starting point guard. He'll have the ball in his hands a ton, and he will have plenty of opportunities, no matter who is on the roster, to demonstrate his abilities for the NBA.
All right, so my turn now, and I'm going to differ from you guys a little bit. What will he do? I believe Tyrese Proctor will stay at Duke. I'm with you guys on that. What should he do? I believe that Tyrese Proctor should declare for the NBA draft. He should go to the combine if he gets invited to it. He should talk with as many NBA scouts as he can. Because if there's a team that says, you know what, Tyrese, we're going to take you with a first-round draft pick, which is not, I don't think that's likely, but it's not impossible, especially if he has good workouts. If there's a team that says we're going to take you with a first-round draft pick, I think Tyrese Proctor needs to declare for the NBA draft. All right, guys. Now we can have our long discussion about this. And Sam, I'll let you go first. I'm betting you want to respond to what I just said.
Well, I was looking at the sort of consensus NBA mock drafts earlier today, trying to get us, because none of us are mock draft specialists, right? I don't actually have a sense, and I feel like I've gotten worse at this over the years of watching guys during the season and then saying like, oh yeah, he's probably here in the draft. I have no idea anymore. Tyrese Proctor does not appear on any of the mock drafts that I was looking at today. I don't know if there are ones that you guys have found that do have him, but he doesn't appear. And I feel like Duke players are so prominent in college basketball coverage that the odds that a Duke player goes from not appearing on mock drafts to like getting a workout is fine. Like I'm sure he'll be able to get workouts. That's part of the benefit of going to Duke is that you make all these connections and even if it's just that the GMs are Duke guys, they'll work out all the Duke guys who are available. I don't think that a Duke player who isn't appearing in mock drafts in late March is going to rocket into the first round as a result of workouts.
So allow me to explain very quickly, and then I'll let Donald get in. The reason I believe Tyrese Proctor is not appearing in mock drafts is because the presumption is that he's coming back. And guys who are putting mock drafts together are not saying, okay, who are the best players of everyone available to be drafted? They're saying, who are the best players that we think will be drafted? If you look at, there are some people who do, hey, here's my top 100 or whatever. Here's my list of guys. If everyone was eligible, and on those lists, Tyrese Proctor does show up. Now he shows up, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, which is clearly second round kind of area, which is a place where I think he doesn't want to go. But I think the reason you don't see him on the mock drafts is that everyone's presuming he's going to come back to school. Donald, go ahead, and then I've got one more comment about Proctor's.
Yeah. So Jason, you mentioned that, and I agree with you in this, right? Normally for a normal, player who was thinking about declaring for the draft, you say, yeah, declare, don't have an agent, and let's, talk to the NBA, see what you're going to like, go to the combine, get the feedback from the NBA. But I feel like with Tyrese Proctor, he's a little different because if you remember, he was in the NBA Academy in Australia. So he has those contacts. He doesn't have to declare to the draft to call those people and say, hey, where would I go in the draft? So I feel like if he does declare for the draft, he knows that he's going in the first round. I don't think he's going in the first round, Jason, just like you said. You mentioned that he's going to be probably in the top 40 or 50 of all of the prospects that are available, and that would mean likely a second round. I feel like he would be in a second round right now if he were to declare for the draft. I think he knows that because he has the contacts already. He doesn't have to. And that coupled on top of Duke's contacts, right? Like, it's not like Duke has the best contacts of any, college in the country. He's able to probably determine that right now. And I feel like in his particular case, he's able to say, hey, I already know that I need work in these areas, and I can do that by coming back. But also, he comes back with the expectations of being one of the best point guards in the country, one of the best players in the ACC. He can, fight some of his teammates that may come back for postseason ACC awards. He's going to be a guy that has that information already. And I think in his case, he doesn't have to test the waters to do that. He can test the waters while still saying, I'm going to remain in college.
So the last thing I'll say about Proctor, even though I'm the guy sitting here saying, oh, he should check and see if he can get a first round guarantee, is that if Tyrese Proctor comes back to Duke, it is worth noting that most experts consider the 2024 NBA draft class to be considerably weaker than the 2023 NBA draft class. And there are plenty of people who say that Tyrese Proctor, if he has the season that many people think he could have next year at Duke, that he can vault himself all the way into the lottery, maybe into the top half of the lottery, and that there frankly is no one in that 2024 draft class that screams, this guy's absolutely the number one pick. And there are people out there who say it's not unimaginable that Tyrese Proctor turns himself into a top 3, top 5 potential number one pick if he has the year some people think he could have. So that would be a reason, that he should definitely consider coming back to Duke, as I contradict myself.
And point guards are always in season, right? It's not like where we have the cyclical, do we need a big man? Do we not need a big man? Do we need a forward, stretch four, or whatever? Point guards are always in season.
One more thing that maybe we should have discussed earlier, given that we're talking about the guards this episode, there are three names that Duke fans should be aware of in the context of this when we're talking about all of these guards decisions. And those are the 3 recruits, signees that Duke has coming in next year, presumably coming in unless they change their minds. But and all 3 of them are 5 stars. I think. Well,
wait. We have 4 or 5 stars coming in, but there's 3 guys on the perimeter.
There are 5. Oh yeah, sorry. 2 perimeter guys, 5 5-star coming, 5 5-stars coming in. Jared McCain and Caleb Foster, both of whom, by virtue of being 5 stars, are the types of guys that would expect to start in most situations. They know they're coming to Duke. They committed to Duke before, at least publicly, before either Proctor or Roach had decided what they were doing next year. And presumably those guys, given their scouting evaluations, would be able to slot into the 1 and 2 in some combination next year fairly easily, given that it's going from high school to college, et cetera. So the context of Proctor and then Roach, who I know we're going to get to next, is that McCain and Foster are coming. And one of the questions I think that'll be most interesting for both Proctor and Roach is, do they think that they are going to be set up well by playing next to, or, against in practice, these two guys who also have NBA aspirations? Does it ease the burden on Tyrese Proctor that he can focus more on whatever thing it is, if it's improving his outside shot, whether it's his decision-making with the ball, whether it's his defense, which is already very good, but maybe the thing that gets him drafted? Is it better for him to be on a team with other guys that can shoulder some of that load, or does he feel like it takes some of the spotlight away? And that, I think, is also part of the calculus here.
All right, that's an excellent point, Sam, and I'm glad that you made it. But in the interest of this episode not going for 2 hours, I'm going to go ahead and move us on from the Tyrese Proctor conversation to the Jeremy Roach conversation. Sam, I will go to you first. Again, the question is, what will he do and what should he do?
I think that Jeremy Roach should stay in college. And the reason that I feel this way is that he's finished his junior year. He's had moments of greatness at Duke. The run to the Final Four in 2022, he was amazing. There were games recently, especially since he's been moved off point guard duties, where he has really shined for Duke. He was a big scorer for Duke down the stretch. His defense has improved a ton. As I look at mock drafts, I don't see him there. And so while I believe he has accomplished a lot at Duke, I think that coming back for a senior year, even more so than for Proctor, I think would be great for Jeremy Roach's legacy. And he will be like a very popular guy at Duke next year. NIL money, etc. I think he should stay. I feel like we've heard a lot of rumors over the last few months that he is planning to leave. And so my prediction is that he will go, but I believe that he should stay.
Donald, where are you going on this one?
I think that he should stay in college. I don't think he's going to stay in college. I don't know if, there's been rumors up the gamut, right? About him transferring, about him going pro, they're trying to at least declare him for the NBA draft, maybe going to Europe. I think he's going to go pro in some fashion. He's going to at least attempt to go pro in some fashion. But I do think he should stay in college. I do think he should stay and ride it out here at Duke. And I mean, he's the captain. He was one of the lone captains, right? There may have been guys who had leadership responsibilities, but he was the lone official captain of Duke basketball, Duke men's basketball, I should say. And I think that he should ride that out and be the captain for his senior year here at Duke.
All right, so my turn. I will say he will leave Duke and become a pro basketball player. I'm not sure where he will become a pro basketball player. I think he'll try. He hopes to get the attention of an NBA team, but I think it may be that he's a pro basketball player elsewhere. That's what I think he will do. What should he do? I think he should leave Duke and go to a different school. And by that, I think he should be a point guard somewhere. And I think that the development of Tyrese Proctor, the arrival of Caleb Foster and Jaeden McCain, all of those things really complicate Jeremy Roach's ability to play point guard at Duke. And I think, given his size, his future in pro basketball is as a point guard. And so that's why I think he should find a different school to go to work on being a point guard. And there are certainly plenty of big time programs that would take Jeremy Roach and hand him the keys and let him be a point guard.
It's so weird to think about a guy spending 3 years in the program and then, especially a guy who's been a captain, to then go play at another school. But Jason, maybe you're just ahead of me in the progression of changing the way that we think about this, because there's no way in the in the pre-player endorsements world that a guy like Jeremy Roach is leaving for anything other than the pros, right? He's staying at Duke to cement his legacy, or he's like Grayson Allen, right? Is not exactly in the same scenario, but similar in terms of he's been very productive. He's very popular on the team. He has not been the star of the team, at least not after his junior year. Neither of them were the star of the team after their junior year. And Grayson Allen just came back. There was no thought oh, maybe Grayson Allen will transfer to some other school. It is a thing now. I can't imagine Jeremy Roach's parents wearing anything other than those Duke jerseys that they wear to every game. And I hope wherever, if he does go, that he goes somewhere close enough that all the announcers can talk about how far of a drive it was from Leesburg to, speculate on your school, your destination. I hope he doesn't do that because he feels like a Duke guy to me, but maybe I'm being precious about something that is now in the past.
So it's funny, right? It's not 100% similar, but this is the Jordan Goldwire track, right? Jordan Goldwire, he stayed at Duke for a few years, and then he went to Oklahoma and was a starting, guard for their team. But right?
Goldwire was at Duke for 4 years. There's a difference in the guys who do the.
Like I said, it's not 100% similar, but it feels that way, right? It feels like a similar track, and I hope that's not the case, right? Because I feel like Sam, like you said, he feels like 100% Duke. He feels like he's the captain. There's a reason he's the only official captain of the team. And I think that him leaving is kind of not necessarily a slap in the face or anything like that, but it just feels like a gut punch because, your lone captain is leaving because he's not getting playing time or he wants to find his way elsewhere. I feel like if he's leaving, he should leave to go pro. And I he's done a lot for the university. He's, been one of the stalwarts for this team for the last few years. And, the fact that he, we had rumors of him transferring last summer, right? And he ended up staying. And we appreciate him for that, for him, being the guy that kind of lead this young team with the first year coach and a first year coaching staff and being the veteran of this team. And I feel like that hopefully would help next year, because when we look at these teams that win the tournament over the last few years, you have some teams that may have some star freshmen that go, just go, 8 crap, right? But you have veterans. Veterans are the teams that end up getting to the Final Four. Veterans are what helped you win a national championship. And he is the best veteran that I can think of to help lead this team. And so I'm hoping that he would see that and say, hey, I have one more year left with this group. I can help this team get to the promised land and get to a Final Four, get to a national championship game and help win it. But Jason, I agree with you. I don't see him actually doing it. And in a way, I feel like that's fine, right? I wish him well on that, and I support him in that. But I'm being selfish in this regard and saying, hey, I hope he does stay.
Look, I want to be very clear about something. I'm not chasing Jeremy Roach away. I don't want this to happen. I would love to see Jeremy Roach's senior year at Duke. He is everything you guys said. He is a captain. He has been a wonderful player. I want
the senior night for him. We haven't had a senior night in several years where we've had people who've gotten that honor. If anyone deserves that, it's Jeremy Roach.
Look, the guy single-handedly beat NC State earlier this year. He was amazing in the ACC tournament and was our best scorer down the stretch for this team. Almost certainly the second best player on the team to Kyle Filipowski. So by every fiber of my being, I want him to come back. I'm just saying what I think he should do, because I think from the selfish standpoint of his NBA or professional basketball future, I think he needs a year of playing point guard. And then the other thing about it that I would say is just the nature of the way NIL works. I think that Jeremy Roach is the kind of player that if he entered the portal, he could get a number of different schools bidding on him, so to speak. And potentially he could really set himself up for a nice payday. Not that Duke doesn't do things to support their players, but I think he could potentially get a better one if he went someplace else. All right, gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back from the break, we got to talk about a few more guards. Dariq Whitehead, Jalen Blakes, Jaeden Schutt. What will they do? What should they do? Stick with us. Guys, we're back. I think maybe that we're going to power through these next ones a little bit faster than the last ones because, my goodness, I didn't think we'd take as long as we're taking.
I mean, honestly, I love the discussion, and I hope
Yeah.
the people out there did too, because I thought it was great. But I agree. I think these next ones might be a little more direct in like, hey, what they should do and what they probably will do.
All right, so let's start with Dariq Whitehead. I think I know what all three of us are going to say about this one. Donald, I'll let you go first. What will he do? What should he do? Go ahead and declare for the draft, right?
He will declare for the draft, and honestly, I think he should. If he's going to be a first-round pick, he probably should. I would love for him to stay. Like, this is me thinking in terms of Dariq Whitehead's future and his ability and his future or whatever. But I would love for him to stay. But if he's a smart man, and I know he is because he went to Duke University, he should declare for the draft.
Sam, where you stand on Dariq Whitehead?
Dariq Whitehead should and will declare for the NBA draft. The mocks that I was looking at said that he's probably like mid to late first rounder at this point, depending on and to our discussion earlier about like going to workouts and stuff. Dariq Whitehead strikes me as someone that like a team could say he's their 25th best prospect today. He could go to workouts and then that team would be like, nope, just kidding. We have him 12th. I feel like the healthier he gets, which it seems like he's continuing to get healthier and looks more fluid in workouts. I just feel like he's going to crush. He's gotten so much better at shooting. His defense has really improved, and I feel like over the next couple months he could demonstrate a lot more improvement and become maybe not exactly the player that we thought he was coming out of high school, but a much closer version of that.
I'm going to concur with both of you. I would love to try and make the argument that Dariq Whitehead should stick around, but he will declare for the draft. He should declare for the draft. The reason I think he should declare for the draft, by the way, is I think there's too much risk. He is going to be a first rounder or very, very early in the second round. And Sam, you're absolutely right. It's entirely possible someone falls in love with him and he goes even higher than that, even higher than, late first round. And I think though, if he came back to Duke and got even slightly injured again, he could start to get that injury bug label. If he struggled taking the ball to the hole and scoring off the bounce, then people could go, oh, wait, maybe this guy isn't what we thought he was. So I think for him, there's some real risk, maybe more risk than anyone else on this Duke team. So that's why I think he should declare. Boy, I would love to see a second year of Dariq Whitehead, like maybe as much as anybody on this team.
All wings. Duke we're going for all wings next year.
All wings, no drumsticks, all flats.
No flats.
No. Yeah, I would say this, right? Like, it's funny, right? We've talked about this during the year. And, the fact that he became a 3-point shooter because of his injury at the beginning of the season might have made him more of a prospect for the NBA, because the NBA, as you know, they take a ton of threes. And the teams that are at the bottom of the first round, those teams that are actually really good, you know what they do, guys? They take a lot of threes. And if you have a guy who can shoot 43, 44, 45% from three, they're going to take him, especially with the added element of, he has added potential to drive the lane and yam on somebody. Like, that's not like, it's harder to kind of teach somebody who can yam on everybody to shoot threes than it is for someone to shoot threes and say, oh, they can have the occasional yam. I think honestly, the fact that he got injured might have helped develop something that teams in the NBA might have thought was undevelopable. And now he's more of a prospect to some of these teams at the bottom of the lineup of the first round, especially those who take a ton of threes and make a ton of threes, and he can fit right into their lineup.
Every NBA team wants like 4 or 5 big athletic wings who can shoot threes. Like,
exactly.
There is a place for Dariq Whitehead's game on every NBA roster.
This is true. All right, gentlemen, we will move on to the next prospect. By the way, the last thing I want to say about Dariq Whitehead is the only mild, small, tiny argument I can make for him coming back is that he is one of the few guys who doesn't necessarily need the money, because his brother played in the NFL. His brother Tahir Whitehead was on several different NFL teams for about 7 or 8 different years and made, I want to say, like $24 million, somewhere in that ballpark. This is not a guy who is wondering where he's going to get his next meal. So,
and we can't underestimate in this case, I think it's probably mild, but like for some of these, we can't underestimate what NIL does, right? Because before it may have been a more stark decision, and now it's a little more clouded because of the fact that some of these guys can say, yeah, I'll come back if I get a little bit more NIL money, and that money can appear and they can be happy enough to stay. I just don't think it's going to happen in this case.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the next guy. That is Jalen Blakes. And Sam, I'll let you go first. What do you think Mr. Blakes is going to do?
This is a tough one because I don't think.
Let's go ahead and say it. Let's go ahead and admit it. We've gotten some intel on this one, supposedly, that I think may have changed where we all would fall on this decision.
Oh, I must not have read that email. I don't know anything about Jalen Blake.
I read it.
I need to filter the DBR podcast emails. We went from only getting a few to getting a lot, and so things have changed. Anyway, I believe that Jalen Blake should stay at Duke because I think that there is a legacy for him here. That, again, maybe I'm too old, but I feel like guys like that can break out as juniors and seniors and make an impact. That being said, I feel almost certain that he is going to decide that transferring is the best thing, in the same way that many guys who have come in at his kind of level have figured out the last couple of years. And power to them. Like he played in a top high school program. I think he was a 4-star recruit. Like, Jalen Blake should be playing a lot of minutes for a college basketball team, whether he's an NBA prospect or not. And so I assume he's going to transfer.
I agree with Sam. This is difficult. You know how I just talked about Dariq Whitehead said, I'm not going to be selfish and talk about what I think he should do from his sense. I'm going to be selfish in Jalen Blake. I've loved his commitment to the program. I've loved his attitude to the program. And I really wish he would stay. I think he should stay in that regard. I think from a selfish standpoint, and this is what I think he's going to do, is I think he will transfer out of the program. And I think I don't know where he would go, but I think he is good enough that someone will say, you can be a starting point guard here, or you can be in the rotation here. And I feel that if he stays at Duke, that's still a question, right? Like I'm not going to say never, right? We can always say, yeah, we got these guys coming in. There's no way he's going to be a part of the rotation. But we kind of said that this year, and at least for the first month or so of the season, he was a part of it. But I think that he's going to transfer to a place where he feels like he can be a serious part of the rotation, maybe even start, and be a guy that can help lead a program.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, I actually think so. What will he do? I think he will enter the transfer portal and look for a different school. What should he do? I actually think that's what he should do as well. And the reason for it is, as I look at the Duke roster and the guys who are coming in, as I look at the things that Jalen Blakes does well and what he still needs to work on, I'm just having trouble finding a path to Jalen Blakes getting significant minutes in a Duke uniform in the 4 years. He's a 4-year, not a 5-year player, in the 4 years that he will be in college. And I know, look, it wasn't him. It was like his high school coach that we interviewed when he committed to Duke. And that guy talked about, this Jalen Blakes really wants to be a 4-year player and develop. He wants to be on the Jordan Goldwire track. And it made us so excited to hear that. I just don't know that there's quite a path for that for him at Duke because of the quality of the guards/wings that I expect to be in a Duke uniform next year when he's a junior and likely still there when he's even a senior. And the one caveat I would say for all this is, if for some reason Tyrese Proctor turns pro and Jeremy Roach leaves the program as well, in that case, Jalen Blakes needs to stick around because I think there's absolutely a role for him in that case. But if either one of those guys are back, and when you add in Caleb Foster and Jared McCain, and you add in potentially some development from Jaeden Schutt, who I think has a higher ceiling at Duke than Jalen Blakes does, I think it's just hard to find minutes for Blakes.
So I will go even further, Jason. I think that I would take Tyrese Proctor out of the equation. I think the leadership quality is something that we are always in need of at Duke, and something that is very, it's held in high esteem at Duke, right? When you're a captain of Duke University men's basketball, that says something. And if Jeremy Roach decides to leave to go pro or go elsewhere, Jalen Blakes is the guy that has the most seniority on this team, and he has the wherewithal to know what Duke basketball is about. And yes, there may be guys who stay, right? We're going to talk about all these guys and whether they stay or go. And some of these guys are going to stay. Some of these guys are going to be a part of this program. But he's the one that has the most seniority after Jeremy Roach. And if Jeremy Roach decides to go, Jalen Blakes might be the guy that, yes, he may not start every game. He may not play any games. He may just be a guy who gets 5 to 10 minutes or whatever, right? Or may not even be part of the rotation. But he has that leadership quality that I think that Duke needs. And so that's why I think I would hope that he stays. But I do think in a selfish way, he needs to spread his wings and fly. And if he can be that leader and also start and play a lot of minutes at another program, then he's probably going to take advantage of that.
2 comments on Blakes, and then I think we can move to our final topic. 1, if Henry Coleman can just decide to leave, then Jalen Blakes can leave. Like, don't play the same position, but very much in kind of the same development timeline and also attitude, at least from what we've seen of both of those guys. Second thing, I'm going to make a prediction. I don't typically make bold predictions. I don't think this one is that bold once I will say it, but my prediction is that next year Ryan Young will be the captain for Duke
I was going to say the
basketball.
same thing. I was going to say
that's a great call. Yeah.
And that, Donald, your point about seniority is interesting because Blakes has been in the program longer. I'd argue that Ryan Young is the more senior member. It's not just that he's older. He hasn't been around Duke as long, but he played college basketball for 4 years before arriving at Duke and was playing for Chris Collins. So I imagine that the transition for Ryan Young to Duke was fairly easy. Was relatively easy, given his pedigree. And if he is staying, like the report that we've gotten, the Chronicle report said, then I think Ryan Young's the captain next year. And it's in terms of having leadership, it's not the worst thing for Duke that Blakes is or is not there.
All right, we're going to move on to our last guard/wing, and that is Jaeden Schutt. What will he do? What should he do? Donald, take it first, my friend.
What will he do? Stay. What should he do? Stay. That's it.
Sam, where are you?
I take the opposite approach. What will he do? Transfer. What should he do? Transfer. I think that he got a fairly raw deal this year relative to what we thought his potential was. And I feel like similar to other guys who came in with shooter reputations who then transferred to other places, I think that the grass is greener for him elsewhere.
So I'm going to say, what will he do? He will stay. I believe that he really, really wants to make it work at Duke. What should he do? He should enter the portal and he should transfer. And here's why. Next year, Duke brings in Jared McCain, who is, look, Jaeden Schutt is a heck of a shooter. Jared McCain is a heck of a shooter, and he's a little bit bigger. He's a little bit longer. He's a little bit quicker. I think he's every bit the shooter that Jaeden Schutt is, and yet he does some other things a little bit better than Jaeden Schutt. And to be honest, I think Caleb Foster is also going to be a guy who scores a lot. I think Duke's outside shooting should really jump up next year. Tyrese Proctor should be better than he was this year. We bring in a couple other recruits who are guys who are going to be able to fill it up from the perimeter. TJ Power is a really, really good outside shooter. And frankly, Mackenzie Mbako is a guy who's developing a reputation as a decent shooter. I think it's going to be harder and harder for Jaeden Schutt to get minutes at Duke. So that's why I think he should transfer. But I'm thrilled to say that I think he will stick around and see if he can fight his way into that rotation.
Look, I think, at the end of the day, right, like he has the experience that all those freshmen that you just mentioned won't have, right? He has a year of college experience.
Amen.
Flip will have a year of college experience. Like Mark Mitchell, if he stays, will have a year of college experience. All these guys who might stay have a year of college experience over the freshmen that are coming in. and they have an experience of shooting over college guys or playing in that college environment. That's going to be key because they'll know what they need to do to get to that upper level over the summer, whereas they have to also teach the freshmen what that's going to be like. So it's going to be interesting with Jaeden Schutt because I think, it's not like he entered the year saying, he's going to be shooting, 18 times a game and he's going to be getting, 30 minutes. Next year, if he makes the leap, maybe he does, right? Maybe he, again, we can talk about we have a whole summer to talk about the minutes rotation, but he has the opportunity to say, I can be a big part of this lineup and not just be a guy who comes off the bench in garbage time. So it's going to be interesting with him, but I do think that I would take the experienced guy of shooting or a year's worth of experience over, and say that, if he can make that leap, absolutely try to keep him.
I just feel like for all that we talked about how good of a shooter he was this year, and as long as it took Duke to, become even average at outside shooting, that if he was going to make an impact on this team, he would have gotten more minutes in ACC play. And instead, we saw Jon Scheyer shorten the rotation, and Schutt was one of the guys that suffered from that. So I just it doesn't feel like there's runway for him, especially, Jason, as you pointed out, if Duke has all these guys coming in who are going to be good shooters, then he really has no place on the floor.
So the one thing I would say about it is, and he did struggle this year. Look, he had the reputation. He had the same reputation that Jared McCain has coming into school. Jared McCain is ranked higher because Jared McCain can do some things Jaeden Schutt can't. But in terms of being an outside shooter, both of them were considered guys who just lit it up, absolutely tore down the nets from the perimeter when they were in high school and when they were at the AAU level. So why are we sitting here saying, Jared McCain's going to succeed where Jaeden Schutt didn't really super succeed? And then wait. The one other thing I want to bring up is if, as we all expect, Jeremy Roach is not back at Duke next year, the one position on the floor that I look at and I go, there's absolutely a battle. That is a position that anybody could potentially claim is shooting guard.
Shooting guard.
And maybe that's I'm assuming that it's going to be one of McCain or Foster, but maybe that's Jaeden Schutt.
So I think this might be the biggest conundrum, right? 50-50, whether he stays, whether he goes, whatever. Because at the end of the day, we believe in him, right? I still believe in him. I think he can get to the
no bigger fan than me.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, if he enters the portal, he's also entering the portal on that same belief. If you think about it, it's not like he has evidence on tape or any good tape where he can show and say, I'm a really good shooter and they're just not playing me. It's going to be a team that says, I believe he can take it to the next level. I do think he can take the next level. Jason, Sam, I think you do too. I think he should do that here at Duke. I mean, and I'm just selfish in that regard.
Man, I hope it happens. Believe me, I really hope it happens. I think it'd be just awesome. All right, that's going to do it. That's going to wrap it up for it on this episode of the DBR podcast, where we went through the guards and the wings. Check your feed immediately, right now, because there is probably an episode right on the back of this one where we talk about the big men, where we talk about what's going to happen with guys like Mark Mitchell and Kyle Filipowski. Until you
breathe first.
What's that?
You got to breathe first.
Yeah. Until then, I'm Jason. He's Sam. He's Donald. And here's the Duke Band to play us out and take us home.